Thank you very much. A quick shot. Before we dive into any analysis, I have to welcome LS to the desk to break down what was one of the more dominant, if not the most dominant game now of Worlds so far. I mean, let's dive into it from champion select, because we had seen the Respect Zyra ban come out earlier today against Samsung. Doesn't happen this time around and spells disaster.
That was complete annihilation. I mean, the bot lane took the turret by themselves before 10 minutes. I mean, you cannot get stomped harder than that. And it was really enjoyable to watch just Samsung completely devastate them.
And once again, we see an RNG team where they don't win the early game. They don't win the bot lane because they're against the Zyra. They pick the Braum into it. That's not going to work. Mid lane, we get Victor, of course, picked by Crown. Again and again, I think you're a big fan of that. And then Malzahar is the answer. It's like, no, Malzahar is not the answer to Victor.
Yeah, I don't understand the pick and ban phase at all. Alistar was open. You could have banned away Victor. It just doesn't really make any sense what RNG is doing. And also Mata looking very uncharacteristic in all of the games this week, and also taking exhaust every single game. I'm wondering if that's actually something to do with his mentality, because last week he only took Ignite. In the bot lane this week has looked very shaky, so when they collide with TSM later on, I'm actually really worried for them.
Yeah, and I'm overall just really concerned and kind of sad to see the overall LPL trend when we look at the pick and ban phase. I think they're not flexible at all. Like, a lot of them is like, oh, okay, we need something like Poppy top lane. We just got to like have a top laner who might go down a few CS, but then he can try and teamfight later. We're never going to play around him. We're just going to put him up there, and that's it. Okay, we need to try and get a strong bot lane. Whenever in pick and ban phases, they don't get strong bot lanes. Both EDG, IMA, and RNG, they look so lackluster. It's absolutely insane when they start losing early on, how far they fall behind and how little they can do to get back into the games. So it's just lack of flexibility in the pick and ban phase, but also in-game. Because very few players have like a great game and a bad game, a great game and a bad game. Often it's like the same players having multiple bad games, like Xiaohu has had this tournament.
Yeah, I mean, we already talked about how the game was going poorly for RNG prior to 10 minutes, but I do want to take a look at the Dragon fight that happened at that 10-minute mark, because it basically sealed the deal here. 3 kills going over to Samsung Galaxy at this point in the game.
And this is just pure positioning from MLXD. He's going to get caught out with a really nice stun from Crown, and as soon as he dies, Samsung knows that they can just keep pulling the trigger, and it's going to be on the bottom side with Uzi going to be taking out. On the bottom, this is a nice little stun from Cuvee that's just going to be able to solo out the Rumble completely.
Yeah, when you're in such a condensed area against Samsung Galaxy's team composition, it's really hard to penetrate into the river. And the gravity fields and the control and zoning coming out of Zyra is too much, so it's really questionable why they even tried to take this fight, and then they just got picked off.
I mean, a little bit of a fun stat for you guys here on the back end of this, hitting that 15-minute mark. The previous biggest lead in the tournament was 6.9K. That was TSM leading against Samsung Galaxy. Now, Samsung Galaxy at 15 minutes, 7.5K. So they now hold the largest lead and largest deficit in the group stages of Worlds. But this was just destruction.
23-53, that's not enough time to even decide if you want to surrender. They just got run over, and I really enjoyed watching Samsung just play the entire map. 3 lanes at once, just push everywhere, because you know you're strong enough to do it, and Cuvee was able to just take out turrets by himself nonstop. He was inside the base at times, just doing whatever he wants, while the other side of the map is just winning in. Really good stuff to see them play so fast, a team that we thought would be playing a much more slow style.
Sure, but now they're playing Core JJ, and that's again where they started playing much faster in the Korean Gauntlet, and they're doing it again. Clearly, when he's playing for them, there's a lot more focus on early games, a lot more focus on especially the bot lane 2v2. That's why he has picks like Zyra waiting. Maybe he has a brand. We don't even know if his other supports prepared. So it really benefits them playing with him right now, and it seems like everyone on the team plays better as well when Core JJ is in the lineup.
Yep.
So it's no surprise that he picks up player of the game, the Zyra pick, not being respected this time around. But can you give me a little bit more discussion around what exactly the Zyra pick does? Because I think some people are sitting at home going, well, wait, where did this support pick come from? Why is it powerful right now? And why is it able to push a turret down, 8 to 10 minute mark?
Well, it's not only an incredibly strong laner, but it's also a complete anti-dive. And when you have the likes of Caitlyn and Victor on your team, and you have melees that are trying to get into that, it's going to be impossible. And we saw a lot of times the Rek'Sai just get caught out by the entirety of the ultimate as well as the roots. That it's just so difficult if you don't have gap closer to actually hit the backline.
Yeah, now fun stat there too. He also had the second most damage on the team in that game as Zyra. Of course, that is a lot in part due to AoE.
Yeah, of course AoE, but also you pick your main, like the number one reason you pick her now is just laning phase. Like, She's so hard to lane against. She's so hard to even gank because she actually has a lot of ways she can deal with like even a 2v3 situation due to the plants being so effective if a lot of them are down. So when you pick her just for laning phase and you win that, great. The composition from RNG wasn't terrible against Zyra because normally in teamfights, she's good against like Hekarims who dive in, you put the ulti behind it or on top of him and then no one can get to the backline. This was actually enough backline threat to deal with it. But you pick it for laning phase, and when you win the laning phase, well, ka-ching, you win the game.
Yeah, one of the things I was worried about coming into this match was actually the bottom lane, because when we saw Samsung go up against TSM, Double Lift at one point almost had like a 40 CS lead, and they botched the 2v2, even going for a trade that they never should have went for. So I think that the Zyra helps them to basically guarantee that they don't lose bottom lane, which is one of RNG's saving graces going into this matchup.
Highly doubt that he'll get that pick again. But now I want to look forward here because Samsung Galaxy have secured themselves a quarterfinal berth. At worst, they are going to be playing a tiebreaker for first place, similar to what H2K had to do. But here's the thing. They have one more game to play today. So in contrast to H2K, they are the masters of their own destiny here. If they win this next game against Splice, they are the #1 seed out of this group. So let's get a little preview of that game because it's all on Splice to play upset and give us a tiebreaker at the end of the day.
I just want to say, please ban Victor. This guy is too good on Victor. He's just crushing everybody. It's insane. I don't want to see anybody lose horrendously anymore.
I think there is something for Splice in favor of Splice in terms of the mid lane, actually in terms of bans at least, because you talk about banning Victor. Right now, Samsung is banning Syndra and Aurelion Sol in all the games. They might do the same here. I'm pretty sure Crown can play them because I've seen him play it in solo queue, but he's not pulling it out right now. Maybe he's saving him for later, which I don't think he is, but he might not be too comfortable on it. So if you remove Victor, you can actually thin out that mid lane pool quite a bit. And then the next thing is bot lane. You cannot lose the core JJ and Ruler in that bottom lane because Samsung now, when they're actually winning 2v2, not criticizing players, but just overall, now that Samsung is winning early game, they get to play this really good macro in the mid to late game, and that's so hard to play against.
Yeah, I definitely think that we need to see a lot of mid lane focused bans against Crown. But one of the problems is Crown does have one of the biggest champion pools coming from Korea as one of the mid laners. And so it is pretty difficult to ban against him, also because he does have that rise.
Well, Samsung has set themselves up for that first place finish in the group. Now there's more group stage action coming your way as Splice takes on Samsung Galaxy right after this.
Samsung Galaxy on the cusp of qualifying for the quarterfinals. All that stands in their way is Uzi, Mata, and the rest of RNG. Flash forward, net across, was too late. Xiaohu's caught. Here comes Core JJ. Xiaohu's running for his life. The Malefic Visions burning down ambition. A flash forward, stand behind me, Mata yells. And RNG feel they can go forward. They're gonna bite off more than they can chew. They've been routed. He's being chunked down. Chaos Storm takes him out. Acenil fired, so that's a cooldown blown. Look at the damage onto Uzi. And Samsung Galaxy win the fastest game of Worlds 2016.
Dare to be different. Revel in the impossible. Introducing